All right, folks. Blending time and price theory. All right. You've seen me mention before that I like to see a thick, high volume candle. Right. And also, you've seen me mention that most rallies end in an engulfing candle in the direction of the rally. Right? Cool. I'll let you ponder on that one, and I'll give you an example. Check this out. Over here, over here, over here, ES monthly, over here, over here to an extent, over here, right? It looks like cherry picking until you realize that this is what has been called live and will always be called live because it's simply the way price moves, right? So I mentioned before that looking for a lower time frame range at a higher time frame candle at the correct time. What does that look like? And see this? 3 drives. We're getting an engulfing candle above an old high in EU. Into a key level, right? Into this key level. If you look at the daily time frame, it's a lot cleaner. You got this on the daily. You got an FVG that was filled. Now, some of you think I trash ICT, but I don't. I respect his work. He's probably done the most service to the financial markets and this service, to be honest, than anyone else, right? I mean, the way he's taught price is incredible. Even if it's copy pasted from others, it's a good study. So we're at a key level, a higher time frame candles range, right? You got this candle high, candle low. Has been hit? I think it has. And if it hasn't, then it will be hit, either it or its SMT equivalent, right? Candle high, candle low. Especially if they disrespect this weekly FVG, then the plan goes as planned. So above the higher time frame candle, we're looking to blend time and price, right? We got a range, a classic range, range high, range low, and let's see what happens over here. Let's see if we get the good old pattern. You see how difference it is? Do you see the difference between the patterns I'm talking about and the patterns that are spoken about? You got this beauty over here. You got the Monday range, remember? Timed ranges. You can do this same exact process with the Asian range. But let's focus on the example. You got this. You got the weekly open. When we're bearish, the important thing is hitting, as I mentioned before, the summary of all this is open, fixed time. If you're bearish, open, rally, key level, decline. Bingo. if you can do this thing, let's make it a bit more professional, a bit more presentable, right? Opening time, and let me add a twist to it. Let me add something which will make it interesting. Previous candle and a key level at the same time. How does that sound? Previous candle and a key level. Now, this is when time comes into play, especially in if you're going to trade the majors. If you're going to trade the euro, the euro dollar, which is what I trade. I trade the euro, the pound, the dollar, BTC, and ES. Mainly ES, EU, and BTC for swings. Right? So, this is the daily candles fixed open. This is the manipulation time, true open, whatever you want to call it, right? This is another timed model, which you should look into. Asian range. At 2 o'clock a.m., you're looking for a rally into a short-term high, 15-minute, 5-minute high, and you ride it to the opening. You're looking for a rally above the opening price, into the high, and back into the opening price. How does that sound? Going back just that. That's literally spoon feeding, putting it in your mouth. Taking my spoon and putting it right inside your mouth. You got this? This is a model, which was mentioned, by the way, by good old ICT. I have a twist to this, which is we've closed below the candle. We've left an FVG, and the FVG is the high, right? Accumulation, whether it's week 1, Monday, whatever. Manipulation, distribution, right? That was a little side rant. Let's now go back into the current example. Remember the timed range? Monday timed range. Monday. Tuesday opens, right? At 2 o'clock, we get a rally. So, without even knowing the bias, or the higher time frame bias, which is, I do not advise that at all, right? If you can't trade the higher time frame bias, then you probably shouldn't be trading the lower time frame bias, right? Unless you master the higher time frame bias, it doesn't make sense to master or even try and trade the lower time frame bias. You can practice the lower time frame bias, but when it comes to trading actual money, then start with the higher time frame. Anyway, accumulation, remember, manipulation, look for sells on Wednesday, distribution, 3 candle formation. The same model I spoke to you at the beginning, using the timed range, using the weekly open, we're rallying above this range. Into a key level, right? At the higher time frame candles high. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Accumulation, you can say that Friday was also accumulation. Remember the 2 forms I gave you? It's either like this or it's accumulation, accumulation, distribution in two candles, right? But it's not important to understand the pattern. It's important to understand the logic of taking this candle's high to this candle's low, breaking through the candle and then retesting the candle and accelerating away from the candle. Do you see how much more sense it makes? And this is not some hindsight garbage. This is exactly the logic I used to call this top right here on the US dollar, if you remember. Literally call the top right over there, using this exact framework in mind. It was the first time I took a trade on EU based on the dollar analysis. I was leaning towards a bullish dollar rather, as soon as we started probing above the high of EU and the low of the dollar on the weekly, right? As soon as we started attacking this high. Then I suspected some distribution and a fall back down into the range, either to retest the range, but a fallback was necessary, either to retest or to continue downwards, right? Yeah, that's the London model. 1 o'clock. Remember the numbers mentioned in the previous video? 1. You go to the 5 minute. The best time frame to trade the daily range for me is the 5 minute. 15 max. And the weekly range is the 1 to 2 hour. Right? Just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Looking at it blindly with no time in mind, you'll see this. Let's hide. You're going to see a bunch of noise. But if you look at it through the lens of timed ranges, taking a range to a range, you're timing a range, you're breaking the range into a key level, and you're declining. Right? And bingo. If you remember the sign, one of the signs I mentioned of a true breakout, as a side note on price, is you get a sudden fallback in and then an acceleration, right? Which will happen over here. I'm still holding my position from up here, which was into a rejection block. Into a rejection block. What is a rejection block? It's an order block with a long wick. Bingo. Enigma solved, right? Nope. Wrong. Maybe, right? But it really is that simple. It's an order block with a long wick. Let's start with an example on the lower time frame, on the higher time frame, excuse me. Although there's an example right here popping out. You should be seeing it. Right? Why didn't this high get taken? Because of the rejection block. Right? But let's first go to let's go to higher time frame. Let's go to a higher time frame rejection block to understand how it works. And this is a bonus. I was not planning on talking about this, but you got it. And speaking of Ethereum, let's go to the weekly again, applying the same candles or ranges concept. Right? If you remember, I call the tippy top of Ethereum right at this high. Right? We are above an old liquidity pool. A thick, nice, bullish candle has been created, suckering in everyone and their mama and their sisters, if they have any. And at the top of that candle, right, you see this, I'm working with this one candle. I'm working right inside of this candle. I'm looking for a false breakout to occur at this candle. falling right into the manipulation phase of the monthly candle, by the way. 1 hour time frame, looking for a range to form, a smaller time frame range to form above this candle. And if you can even look back right over here at the false breakout of the range, I said boom, this is the top. Some more tools to aid in the top are the standard deviations, obviously. When the previous candle has been ranging, there's a lot of material on that online. Maybe I'll talk about it later, but not in this one. It's not the topic at discussion. Projections, right? Fibonacci projections, whether it's the 1618, right? Whether it's the minus Fibonacci levels, right? Which is deviation. And of course, the classic way, which is checking for closes versus wicks, right? That's a lot more manual way. Checking for change of state of delivery at a certain time ranges, which will of course give you a high confidence that the top or the high or low of the day is in. I will link some more material which helps with this specific thing, which is the high and low of the day. But for now, let's focus on rejection blocks. This is a rejection block. Why did price stop here? It stopped at the wick of the order block. You see? You can almost say the open of the order block. Right. In classic support and resistance level, by the way, support and resistance theory, this is a support level. This is also a support level right here. You see? This is a rejection block. And that's the high. Rejection block, I say it with a quote unquote, right? Because even in classic support and resistance theory, this idea exists of the rejection block. But anyway, we came here to see, let's see some more examples. The daily, right over here. Now, why did these equal lows get left over here? How can you trust this? Right? It stopped at the rejection block. And this is common knowledge. It's not like some new science. A nuance, which you probably don't know, is the candle. And before I finish, or you can let that one go. Let it be. A nuance, which is not very known about the rejection block, is that the candle beside the rejection block is usually going to be taken. Right? The low or the high if it's the other way around. Now, it's not really a healthy way to look at it. That induces thinking like this, right? It's going to force you to try and really catch this little... you're going to try and force a rejection block. You might try and force equal lows to be created, as happens with any new concept. How do you predict this to happen? By the simple use of an SMT. Right? This is one of the uses of SMT. Is you use it to expect rejection blocks, and they happen all the time, to expect rejection blocks to hold. Right? You got an SMT here. Right here, right? SMT. And you got, in Ethereum, by the way, SMT here, which held the rejection block over here. So, oh, why did it leave equal lows? Because of the SMT, right? SMT equals rejection. Let's write this one down. SMT equals rejection block equals equal lows left, right? That one is for your for your notes. How do you trade a rejection block? The same exact way you trade an SMT. You either wait for a change in the state of delivery, which is a close above a bearish candle on the lower time frame, while violating a bearish PD array, right? Trusting the equal lows to hold. Now, me personally, I like to wait for I like to trade the turtle soup candidate. So in this case, I would trade Bitcoin over here. This is my personal preference. You can do whatever you want, right? But that is, that's the idea. And speaking, one last touch on rejection blocks is as follows: Euro USD. My entry here was a rejection block. However, I'm pairing the rejection block as a higher time frame PD array, 30 minutes, right? Look at this beauty. 30 minutes, expecting a swing point to form, which usually happens during week 2 and 3 of the month, because time and price are both fractal. This rejection block, right, was a, if I'm not mistaken, there was an SMT divergence at that high, which induced my entry using the good old technique of, and before I zoom in, we all know that rejection blocks on the higher time frame are order blocks on the lower time frame. That's a horrible, disgusting handwriting. I'm gonna have to do some justice. Rejection blocks on the higher time frame equals order blocks on the lower time frame. All right, let's mark that out over here. Order block, criteria of an order block: thick, heavy FVG displacement. Yes, this is the order block right here. I'm blending this higher time frame key level, the rejection block, with a turtle soup. That was the logic behind the entry, plus the SMT gives you that order block on the lower time frame was a rejection block on the higher time frame. It's always the same thing, never changes. That was my turtle soup entry using a rejection block entry on the higher time frame. Blended with that short-term lower time frame high, right? Everything at the specific time. Now, how do you trust this high to hold, by the way? When expecting a classic sell-off or classic sell candle, right, or in bearish conditions, it's a good idea to trust the London highs as stop loss, or the Tuesday lows, Tuesday highs and lows, right? Or the week 2 highs and lows, as we've seen before. And now we move on to the common mistakes. Common mistakes. Let me check my notes. Common mistakes are, first common mistake is not back testing enough. So you watch this thing once, you say, hey, I got Enigma. Nope. Backtest enough. Backtest once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. For those of you who are professional in a certain field of life, you will understand this better than others. Is the more you practice, the more nuances you discover. The head movement, the telegraph, all these small, the details which come only with intense amount of practice, which comes from discipline. That is the only way you will master a model. Not by watching my video once. Not backtesting enough. 2 is not forward testing enough. So you just backtest and you find a 90% win rate and you fuck up. Oh, fuck you. Number 3 is, oh, fuck you, of course, meaning, well, you're not going to make it. It's not a reasonable thing to do. Except if you want to play around, then sure. Expecting, this is an important one, expecting a ranging candle, expecting a trending candle, and being surprised by a ranging candle. How do you avoid this? You avoid this one by always taking partials at important highs and lows and at 50% levels. Because no matter how much knowledge we have or we gather or we acquire, we're still human after all. Right? So you can't expect to be correct 100% of the time. Because the knowledge is concrete. Everything is as it's supposed to be. But are you disciplined enough to choose the correct PD array? Are you disciplined enough to 100% probe the order flow due to your protocol? Probably not. Trending candle during a choppy candle, and vice versa. Number 5 is shorting every fucking high and low. Shorting and longing random highs and lows. You must understand the concept, and rewatch this if you have to. Timed ranges, whether it's the Asian range, or the Monday range, or week 1, right? Monday range, week 1, or any other candle you're trying to work with, or some 4-hour candle, right? Study the examples I've called many times and will call and have traded and will trade. Of course, I'm not perfect. I might make some mistakes, contrary to popular belief. But try and, especially as a turtle soup, quote unquote, trader, what you're trying to do is enter once, right? Especially if you're trying to enter at if you're trying to soup, if you're trying the 3 candle pattern, which I showed you, or the 4 candle pattern I showed you. you're trying to enter once. So try and plan for your trade before just randomly pressing the button. The best trades, as I've said before, they come after a long, long wait and planning. So this, of course, can be easily avoided by your checklist, which is a higher time frame PD array, and are we above the opening price of bearish or below it of bullish? Above it, below it. Where are we? What's the ADR look like? What's happening with these standard deviations? Although I pay less attention to them, they are an important. They're not important. They're a good tool to have at hand. Are we in premium or discount? Premium discount. PD array. Are we high or low? Right? High or low? What's the market profile? What is the market profile? Right? If you just take the higher time frame PD array, right, and the open and the market profile, those three will save your life, right? These are the common mistakes that come to me at hand. Nope. Another one is expecting a false breakout and getting fucked with a real breakout, getting surprised. Let's be PC over here. Surprised by a real breakout. Again, go up right here. What's the logic? What's the narrative? What's the bias? Don't just say it's going to go up and down. Why? Are we high or low? What's the market profile? What's the narrative? Why should we go high? Why should we go low? And then, are we going high? Are we going low? These are a few common mistakes that come to me right now. And this concludes the videos. What can I say? It was a bit longer than expected, as usual. I will drop a guideline. I'll try and edit these videos into a link to make it kind of unreachable for those who want to leak it. And even if they leak it, they're going to have to go and open the link and study. And at that point, you know, they're probably going to get bored. Because the type of people who are trying to get the leaked content are not the type of people to stick around and try it out and really work for it. The amount, right? There's some chitter about the amount, right? It's a fairly, it's nothing to me, right? It really is, it doesn't mean much. It's simply a symbolism for you to invest in the knowledge you're trying to acquire rather than the price itself, right? Which is why it's fairly low. So it's a low entry barrier. Right? So most people can have a taste. And don't forget, the best notes gets $126. I'm waiting for that one. Submit to the secretary. Any questions you have, check the pinned comments in my Telegram account. And if I have any additions, which I probably will have, I will add them to the Time and Turtle Soup group. But for now, this is all. This is 99.9% of what I intended to share in this teaching. Any questions you have, again, talk to the secretary, and they will send me the most frequently asked questions. Happy studying. Backtest, forward test, find your own model, trust your own model through my information. And good luck and good trading.